I'm trying to set up the YouTube live. It's going live now. Yeah, and I think, yes, we are on, we're live. Yeah, so I see your hand up. Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Live with Aisha. Today we have our guests, Mr. Jibrin Salme Okutepa San. He has sent in his apologies. He's traveling and will be joining us late. But we will continue the conversation while we are waiting for him to join us. So thank you so much, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the judiciary. And I know, of course, there are a lot of us that are so tired. You know, it's almost like, oh my goodness, every time the judiciary. But at the end of the day, we just have to continue as it is. What do we do as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Like we always say, giving up can never be an option. So that's not something that we are contemplating doing. We'll continue to stand and continue to ensure that our voices are heard. And at the end of the day, definitely there will be that win that we all are waiting for. So thank you so much for joining us and being part of this today. Live with Aisha comes up every Saturday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, where we talk about topical issues affecting Nigerians. We talk about governance. It's basically how do we get our country to work with for every one of us and not just for a few people. Live with Aisha, like I said earlier, is a program to discuss topical issues that affect politics and governance in Nigeria. It comes up weekly at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. So she's trying to get everything all set up while we wait for him. For those of us who are joining online, you can also be part of this conversation. Just send an email to livewithaisha01@gmail.com so that you get and join us here on Zoom. So thank you so much for joining. Like I said earlier, our guest did send in his apologies to say that he would not be able to join us early enough as he's on the way, but he's gave like 30 minutes before he joins in. You know the way the roads are, Nigerian roads are, you calculate one thing, it turns out to be, another thing. So we wish him safe trip and hopefully he gets to join us very soon. I'm trying to go check the device um, on YouTube just so I'll be able to see and interact with those that have joined us already on YouTube. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much, all of you. Chukwuemeke Ogugwa, greetings to you too. Uh, 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 Thank you so much for that. So definitely I will share that so people do know that we're already live and we've started. Conversation is on, conversation is ongoing. It's about the judiciary. How do we get the judiciary to have the respect of its people? Remember just last week, there was this thing where the CJN was at a meeting, no, not at a meeting, at a dinner or something that was organized by her, by the Lagos State governor. And this is someone that has a case before the court. So it doesn't look right in any way. I mean, while the CJN is busy telling citizens that they should ensure, not citizens rather, judicial officers, that they should ensure they do not bring the judiciary into disrepute, they should do the right thing. And then she goes on and she isn't doing the right thing. But you did see also that recently some judges had been suspended, some had been asked to refund money. There's one 12 years salaries and allowances because, of course, he ought to have retired 12 years ago, but he falsified his age and he kept working. Another woman, for her, it's, 3 years. It's just so unbelievable. Some of the things that you get to hear going on in the whole Nigerian space. So let's continue that conversation. Let's have go on while we are waiting for our guest to join us. So of course, like I said earlier, keep the questions coming. I'm just trying to get one or two things sorted out as we wait for us all, for you all to join. And also put the Gani Kaninde. Okay, I think our guest is here. Did join briefly. Hello, sir. Yeah. Good evening, sir. Okay, you're still muted. You need to unmute. Let me go see. Yes.
How are
Yes.
you, Aisha?
Fine, thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
I calculated that I will be at my destination by 4:30 and then set myself. But I am arriving at the place. I'm sure in the next 20 minutes I will join you. A lot of
Fantastic.
my learner friends are saying they are not being let in. So I
Okay.
apologize. Uh, like you rightly pointed out, we will fix this country
Amen.
not by lamentation, by taking positive action. And so
Absolutely.
the development of Nigeria lies in all of us. So I've arrived at the destination, but I'm heading to the hotel and I'll soon join you. Please, I apologize. There are so many go-slows I saw on the road, so many checkpoints.
Thank you so much, sir, for even
Yes,
joining in now. Thank
insecurity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You did send me a message a while ago that you'll be 30 minutes late, and I really do appreciate you taking the time now to even come online and explain to us. So, yeah, we'll see you in 20 minutes, no problem. We continue the conversation while we wait to hear from you and also learn from you, most especially what are the things that citizens can do in contributing to this nation that we all need to build. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, my sister. God bless you.
Amen, sir. And you too, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, everyone, one of the things I'll say that's what integrity is all about. You understand? We're supposed to have a program at 5 p.m. He knew he wouldn't be able to make it at 5 p.m. He had planned, of course, things happen, especially Nigerian roads. You can never predict, what will turn up. He sent me a message like over an hour ago to say, oh, he won't be able to make it. And even at that, he's joining us to quickly say, look, hey, I'm just getting in and this is the reason and all of that. That is just simple courtesy and, integrity and character. For me, it's always in this little things that most times we just sort of like think, they don't matter. For me, they do matter. These are things that are really important. And so this is it. He's telling us that he can. You know how it is when you travel, you come back, you're so tired, but he is willing to come be part, of the conversation. Chimere Chuya says, hello from Samaru Zaria. Auntie Aisha, did you attend ABU? What school? Wow, we asked him what school did I attend when we were having a conversation on the judiciary. Yes, I did attend ABU. I started in 1994. That's a long time ago. I was a medical student, MBBS. I left after ABU was closed down, I think somewhere in 1995 or so, 96, and I went to BUK. I finished from there. Then I came back to ABU in the year 2000 and I did my master's there. I started my PhD in ABU in the year 2007, and then I got angry and I walked away. It's a long story anyway, but just talking about it is also, this is the story of Nigeria where a lot of things that you want to do, they just get messed up. My goal was to finish, when I finished university, get my PhD before I was 30 and become a professor before I will be 40. That was my goal. And I was working towards it. But hey, in ABU alone, I spent 6-7 years doing my master's and I was the first to finish. But anyway, today it's not about me. But these are the things where things don't work. Like I really wanted to do master's in public health in the year 2000. They said, no, I can't do it because I didn't do MBBS, only that. But in other countries, you could do that. I could do that with my microbiology. But anyway, every one of us, we have that Nigerian story that has sort of like turned us upside down. And so when I finished my master's, I was still determined. The year I finished, the next year I applied for my PhD. I started working 2 years into it. My supervisor was doing anything. And I said to myself, I'm not going to work with this. And I just wanted to get it because for me, I just felt, let me know that I finished education to the way it's supposed to be, not that I'm working as a businesswoman. And then after about 2 years, I just walked away and I didn't. And I tell you, I regret that now. I just wish I just stayed on, that I didn't have the patience anymore. So, hey, whatever you're doing, don't allow anybody frustrate you to the extent that you leave that thing that you were doing. That's what happened to me. And it's also when we relate it to Nigerian story, do not allow anyone to frustrate you when it comes to Nigeria, that you say, oh, I give up on it and then I'm moving on. So there's nothing like moving on. Judiciary is already in disrepute. That's another this thing out there. So let me just put this in. Please send if you want to join us live with, oh my goodness, hold on. I'm trying to, so that you send in an email and then join us here. Let's have that conversation. Live with Aisha 01 at, okay. I actually forgot I didn't put the at. So I think that's it at gmail.com so that we can have, let me pin the message there and let's have this conversation go on. We need a lot. There's so much happening in the judiciary and it's really affecting every one of us. Gani Akinde said we should all be involved and say it when we see people doing wrong, especially with our politicians and individuals. I totally agree with you on that one. Every one of us, we must be involved and we must tell ourselves, even our friends and family, loved ones, don't feel like, oh no, I can't say this, or and the person will not like this. We need to ensure that everything it is being done the way it ought to be done. Like I've said to a lot of people, when we blame INEC is this, police is that, judiciary is, I'm like, no, it's not this thing. It's the people in it. If the people do not participate in doing it, then it's not going to happen. So let's also blame those people and ask them and say, hey, bring this one thing in or that thing in here. So thank you so much. So I'll wait for you if you would like to join us. Let's have that conversation. Ordinarily, before I would post the Zoom link, make it public, but sometimes you have hackers who just take that on and just, come be disturbing everyone. And that's not what we are looking for. And for those who, unfortunately, we were out of time and we didn't get to bring them on last Saturday, I probably, with their messages here, I probably would also be sending those messages to them. If you're on YouTube and you can hear me, please go ahead and indicate the fact that you can hear me as we speak right now. Please send the message in. You've said Mr. Jibrin, Samuel Okutepa, it's one son that is always ready to say, how do they put it? There's this thing they say, say the truth to power. There's a way they put that, there's a way they say that out. It's not coming out right the way I'm saying it right now, but it's always there to say truth to power, irrespective. And recently there was a video of his that went viral where he was literally speaking to our political, rulers, because we can't call them leaders, and telling them as it is, without fear or favor. And that's just the way it should be. We must all ensure that at any moment where we are, we're able to be those people. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Ofia, and also Ative Jonathan. They say they can hear me loud and clear. We must always be at a place where we are ready to say things the way they are, not because we're afraid of what will happen to us or what one thing or the other. At the end of the day, we are here. Oh, We are here. We are here for this, and we continue to have that conversation. So I'm also sharing, sending in today's link to those who had asked, who unfortunately were not able to join us last week. If you're interested in joining us on Zoom, please go ahead and send an email to livewithaisha01@gmail.com. It's there pinned message, so that we continue to have that conversation. So yeah, indeed. One of the things we must also understand is the role that the judiciary plays in everything. You know, when you're talking about the different, is it arms of government, right? You have the judiciary, you have the executive, you have the lawmakers, the legislative arm. The judiciary is the one that interprets the laws that are written by the legislative, and it usually has the final say. Whatever it says, it goes final. Sometimes, the way they interpret the law, that's where it will go, except of course you have certain things that you cannot interpret another way. And even in the interpretation of the law, there are different rules that they can maneuver their way through interpreting it. And so you have the literal rule, golden rule, mischief rule, it was the other one, something purposive rule, and all of that. So it helps. So at the end of the day, they're so powerful. But unfortunately, the judiciary in Nigeria has been reduced to the level where they are almost like puppets. It's like they have zero power. They can't do anything. Most times what you see from them is this situation whereby, how do I put it now? They're just being used. They just become the playthings of corrupt politicians. And these politicians are always ready to rub it in your face that they have the judiciary in their pocket. So it's almost like for them, a team of pride, to say to them, yeah, that they can just, anything they want the judiciary to do, they will do. You saw the other time when Senator Bulkachua was talking about his wife, who happened to be the president of the appeal court, and how he had worked on her to help his colleagues. If Nigeria was a country where things are really done properly, all the cases that had been done when she was president of the appeal court should actually be revisited. But hey, Nigeria is what it is. And it's just crazy. Honestly, it's just crazy, some of the things that do happen. So please go ahead and send that email if you would want to join. And in the meantime, also, please go ahead and ask questions while we wait for our guest to join us today. I'm just trying to send an email here. Okay. That's it. Hi, Kayode Johnson. It's a pleasure seeing you. Welcome. Antonio Biora, thank you so much for your kind words, and good evening to you. Just to ask a question, to put a question out there, that please go ahead and type, for those of you that are on YouTube and are watching. What do you think is the interest that people have to be, not people, let me put it, like you have politicians have their children, their wives, their spouses, their whatever, be part of judiciary, when if you really look at it, it's not as if it has so much pay. What do you think is that thing that just keeps them on it, and that they keep going on and they're not moving anywhere, just focus on that particular thing where they're saying, hey, this is what they want to do? Do you have an idea? Is it the power? Is it the usage of the power, the way they're doing it right now, where it's almost as if Nigerians are not the ones who are, how do I put it? Now, Nigerians are not the one who are electing people into office. It's actually judges that are the ones who are determining who are the people that get into office. So this is also something that really should concern us a lot as citizens of this country. So what are the things that you think, has led to all of this thing, where some people now feel that, okay, yeah, they can easily get into being what's this thing called, into being judges and whatever, having people that are there be the judges. And there have also been lots of reports of connivance, help over the years going on. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's just so, sometimes you see this thing, you're like, oh my goodness, what's happening here? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. But anyway, like they say, it is what it is. And giving up. And you heard what Mr. Okutepa said. He said giving up cannot be an option. So we'll keep going and we'll keep ensuring that we have our voices out there. Because if you don't say anything, they will say you like it. That's why you are silent. You like what's happening. Gani Akinde says, my opinion about the now judiciary is cash and carry. And we can see what's happening in the country. Very sad and unfortunate. It's actually very sad and unfortunate. And it's also very sad that it has turned to cash and carry. It's almost like entrepreneurship. Just go ahead and shop for judgment. That's why you see somebody will leave Sokoto and go to Enugu to go and do case, or leave Imo State, Anambra, and go to Jigawa, or leave Edo State and go to Lagos, because that's where they have a judge that will be able to give the kind of judgment, whatever. Is it they are seeking for injunction, they are seeking for one thing or the other. We've had a lot of that happen, and it's usually quite unfortunate that these things do go on. Someone says they are Biafrans, come to Biafra and open the court, Nigeria. Okay, whatever. So good for you, Samuel, and do have a very great time. Yeah, so that's it. Remember, our guest for today is Mr. Jibrin Samuel Okutepa San, and we're waiting for. So always when I don't know, they should suppose they add barista, or that barista is for like when you're just starting. I didn't know what to do. So, hey, it's one of those things that you just have to keep going at it. So yes, please, we'll keep the conversation going as we await him joining us. You can also send in your questions. Let's have those coming. While we wait for the guests to be able to join. In the last few days, we've had a lot of drama happening in Nigeria. There are always drama happening in Nigeria. And really, like some people have said many times, if you're not Nigerian, yeah, and they explained Nigeria to you and you understood what they said to you, then the person that explained it to you did not explain it to you very well. And so that's some of the things that we just keep saying all the time. Okay, I have a user here who, yeah, it's some of the things. I think one of the things that we must all understand is that we can disagree without being disagreeable. I mean, you have your opinion, you have a right to it. Nobody is denying it to you, but you can't just come on some people and just keep, sort of like insulting, abusing people because they don't go the way that you want things to go. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, Aisha, my sister. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Well done. So apologies, we didn't allow you to rest the way that
Yes, my apologies too. I'm trying to join on my iPad. I don't know why the internet is refusing to connect. So that people don't disturb me with call on my phone. So I
Yes.
am trying to join on on my iPad, but I am almost set. So let me see whether I can join on another line. That
Okay, sir.
so the thing is just showing. Is it? I don't know whether it's because I'm joined to this my phone that is refusing to join on my um, iPad. So maybe let me go off here and go and join on iPad,
Okay, that
please.
would be great. No, that would be great.
Yeah.
I know otherwise
Okay.
course breaking it up. No problem, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So that's it. While we're still waiting for him, he's trying to get everything. What's this? Why is this showing this? It's trying to get everything, brought in and to just get everything sorted. We'll continue to have that conversation today. Our guest is Mr. Jibrin Samuel Okutepa. There's one interesting question that I really want to ask him as we are on, because there were a lot of reports that, during the election, he was one of part of the people in the legal team of Mr. Peter Obi that was there. So there were quite a lot of some questions that had been asked. People had said one thing or the other. So, but I'll wait, and I hope I don't forget this question because I would love to really ask this particular question. So today we'll be talking about how can the judiciary maintain its credibility in the eyes of the public. I mean, every one of us, we totally must agree to the fact that the judiciary has, lost its voice. It has lost whatever it is that people will even use to respect it. There's no respect coming when it comes to the issue of the judiciary. So what are the things that can be done, to sort of like give it that credibility that we all know that it's supposed to have at the end of the day? So these are some of the things that we would be talking about, and as we go on. So we're still waiting for our guest to get himself ready, and then we can start the conversation. He's been on a journey. But yet he decided, to still join us. And we really do appreciate that, and we don't take that, for granted. So yes, you can also have your questions, send in your questions as we continue the conversation if you have. And then if you want to join us on Zoom, also send an email to livewithaisha01@gmail.com. There will be a time where, of course, we are unable to add anyone or send the Zoom link if we are close to the time that we are timing out on this. So yeah, please do go ahead and share. I'm just trying to sort of like, okay. Something I was looking for just now. I wanted to change. Sometimes when it comes to technology, you're just trying to get certain things in. It just like, it's just like nothing it just doesn't go. So please kindly bear with me. I'm just trying to see what are the things, Okay. So yeah, the discussion is going to be on how can the judiciary maintain its credibility in the eyes of the public. That's our topic for today. And we have Mr. Jibrin Samuel Okutepa, a Nigerian lawyer and human rights activist. And we have some questions out here that we want him to hear. And he has very interesting, story when you're talking about coming from perseverance to being where, against all odds to be able to achieve certain things. He is one person that really has that in him and has been able to achieve and conquer a lot of those things. So it will really be interesting us just sitting down here and just getting that. Good evening, Kayode just say, how will I join? Yeah, you can join by sending an email. Check live with Aisha01@gmail.com. It's pinned there. I've already pinned it. Check the pin message. The email is there. Then Gani Akinde already has he has a question here, and so we'll get that done. Okay, so just trying to some questions are already coming in. I'll just try as much as possible to just put them together while we wait for him to be able to join us. Please remember technology. Sometimes this is what it does. I'm sure he's trying to join again because he needed to fix certain things on his what do you call it now? iPad. So it wasn't going through. So no problem. We'll wait for him. We keep waiting and get that done. At the end of the day, just know that whatever it is, whatever situation, whatever problems that you encounter, just keep going. Don't give up. And just have it out there and just don't give up. That's just it. Because most times part of the things that a lot of people want is to see you give up. That's it. They will so bring it on again and again and again. And then the next thing, before you know what's happening, you're tired, you're saying that, oh, I'm not doing this anymore again, because that's what happened. Those, like I would say, those good must be more tenacious than evil. Those who don't want Nigeria to work, if they don't give up, then why should you give up, you that want Nigeria to work? Sometimes we get to that place where we are saying, I'm tired. I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm like, no, that's not the way it should be. Just focus and just keep going. And I just know that giving up cannot be an option. So that's one of the things, that we just have to, just keep going. Mm, that's it. I'm just trying to look at the news coming out of Twitter, a whole lot of different news that are coming up. So bear while we're still waiting for our guests to join us right now, and hopefully we're going to kickstart and get it just going. We have a lot of questions that are lined up for us to get them. And please go ahead and keep those questions coming. I'm just screenshotting the questions. When you come in, we'll be able to ask. Linus says, good evening, my sister AY. Please, you ask Peter Obi to move to a new party. Well, those are I know that's the sentiment, right? A lot of people have had, those sentiments out there, and seeing what Labour Party has been doing, it hasn't been encouraging at all because of the way that things are going. Just yesterday, the day before yesterday, the court sacked the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate in Ondo. Remember, Ondo election is currently going on. Please, if you're from Ondo, you live in Ondo, you're right there in Ondo. Let us know, how has the election how has it been? We've seen, of course, as usual, the new model that is being out there, being displayed all the time, where you have vote buying going on. But I see also that there were some arrests that were done with the vote buying. So it doesn't give one that confidence that one would like to have when it comes to election, especially seeing how Labour Party, that a lot of people invested their hope in. And moreover, really the Lagos part, the Labour Party, like a lot of people would also say, it wasn't really because of the party itself, it was because of the person that moved to the party in the person of Mr. Peter Obi. That's what made a lot of people to move to that party. And if they are not ready to do one, I'm sure those are some of the considerations that Mr. Peter Obi has to put in place himself. So I hear you, Linus. I hear you. I will pass your message and say, this is what you have to do. Prince said, when I was growing up, I was made to understand that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But today in Nigeria, the but today in but today in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. Few people have pocketed the judiciary. Negro Papa, welcome and thank you. You're part of the LMC community. Thank you so much. Welcome and well done. Yes, unfortunately, that's what we have right now. In the ordinary sense of the word, the judiciary is supposed to be the last resort of the common man. The judiciary is supposed to be that place where, how do I put it now? The rule of law applies. I mean, whoever you are, whether you are president, governor, whatever it is, before the law, you're all equal, you're citizens with everyone. There's no one person who is more than the other person. That's what the law is supposed to be. That's why they say Lady Justice is blind. It doesn't see who you are. It just focuses on the matter. But unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria today, that's not the case. What we have now is a situation where people, some people are more than others when it comes to the judiciary. And the judiciary, instead of being the last hope of the common man, is now the plaything of politicians, and they're using them to play anyhow. To look at the fact that the power that a judge has in Nigeria, for example, because we still have death sentence, a judge can pronounce someone to be sentenced to death. I mean, you can ask that someone be put to death. So you literally have the power of life and death over someone. And yet our judges are behaving in the manner in which they behave. It's sad, honestly. It is really sad. And it's something that you just think about it. You're just like, why? Yes, why? Why? But that's what we have right now. And hopefully we get to a place in Nigeria where it will no longer be so. Good evening, say good. Hello and welcome to Live with Aisha. We're still waiting for our guest to join us. Unfortunately, he has a bit of network issue, and that's what he's trying to fix right now. But in the meantime, we can have a conversation, go on. And so let's see how that works. Okay. Yes, I see now. Okay, so he was having difficulty joining, and I think this time it is my fault. So I think in trying to uh do something earlier, I had locked the meeting. I didn't even realize what that meant. So he couldn't come in. So I hopefully by now he would be joining us and we can start and get on and just keep going. Thank you so much for every one of you that has stayed on. Thank you so much for every one of you that has been here. Let's get it going as we wait for our guests, to join us. Hopefully, whatever it is I had done earlier, it gets sorted out. Let me see. Okay. Okay. So hopefully we get there and it gets sorted out. So, these things happen. Sometimes you do a program, it's seamless, everything goes on. Sometimes you come and then you get, oh, go more and say, Aisha, how do we? So, yeah, he is joining us right now. I mean, we can't get rid of them like that. Okay. Hello, good evening, sir. If you can hear me, kindly go and unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
My apologies. They say the host has enabled or something, so I couldn't join.
Oh, yes. I was just telling them, unfortunately, I locked the meeting without realizing what I had done. Are you able to put on your video, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I don't,
fantastic.
although I'm in the hotel.
Ah, that's the life of one has to be traveling and all of that. It's not easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
All
much.
all
My
the stress.
apologies. My
No,
apologies.
we've put you through so much stress already, sir. Thank you
I
so much for agreeing to do this in spite of your heavy schedule.
thank you very much, Aisha. I'm grateful for the privilege to share my thoughts on
Ah,
restoring judicial integrity in this country.
mm.
And I'm happy that we have all become part and parcel of the people that want to make the system work. So I salute you, I commend you, and I thank you, and all Nigerians for the interest shown in the purity of justice in this country. God bless you. I'm ready now.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure having you, and the honor is all ours. Normally, what we do, we just dive right in. I know we're supposed to be reading profile and all of that, but if you're going to read your profile, we're going to spend a lot of hours here. But right now, we are just diving in, and there are a lot of questions that have been coming out. But first and foremost, is to say to you, Nigerians are frustrated with the judiciary. And unfortunately, I just don't even know how we're going to get ourselves here. But there's a question someone has asked. It's not supposed to be the first question I'll be asking you, but I just have to ask you to so you to understand how frustrated Nigerians are. And she said, Aisha, how do we get rid of this present judiciary? Don't they have a body to check their excesses? Do we have judges? So how do we fix this whole thing?
Well, let me first of all say that the Nigerian judiciary, like all other Nigerians, have found themselves in the present quagmire, not of their making. And I think that we should sympathize with the judiciary in the first place. I know that citizens are themselves almost hopeless, judging by what the political class have subjected us to. Are you with me?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. With you.
Good. So citizens themselves, like you and I, like other persons, like Nigerian judiciary, are Nigerian citizens. And now let me start from the background, not necessarily praising the judiciary, but the fact that once you are accepted to be a judicial officer in Nigeria, you have lost every opportunities and every right to go back to either to do practice or to do business. For instance, if I accepted to go to the bench today as the judge of high court, say of XYZ states, and on the bench, the power that be conspired and removed me from the bench, I've lost my right as a lawyer to begin to go back to legal practice because the law itself prohibits me from going back to practice as a lawyer who has been removed or dismissed from the bench. And so most of these judges are in what I call prison, so to speak, prison in the sense that they are careful. Nigeria is not a welfare state where if people are removed from office, the state will care for you. Even the old men and women, the adults, those who have given all their all in the service of this nation, seem not to have the rewarding system that you see. When you see people who have worked, going to queue for their pensions and gratuity, and see the rate of which pensions and gratuities of people who have worked have been stolen, and there are no consequences for this stealing that have been done on such a disturbing regularities, then you can understand where the Nigerian judiciary are. Second point, Nigerian judiciary does not have the income of its own. It depends on the executive for its survival in terms of money that are supposed to be budgeted and given to the judiciary. So, judging from this background, therefore, one should be in a position to sympathize with the judiciary, that the judiciary had found itself as somebody who had unwittingly been subjected to slavery. And so what I think we should do as citizens is what we do to emasculate, to free the judiciary from the emasculation that it has been put to by the political godfathers and godmothers of Nigerian politics. So for me, we must go back to the basis. We must have a clear, defined boundary between the three arms of government. The three arms of government are equal partners in the project called Nigerian states. Therefore, no arm of government should have a domineering or emperoritic or being an emperor for which every other arm of government should come and worship. As it is today, it appears to me that the executive seems to have the domineering constitutional power, so much so that other arms of government, including the legislature, are subservient to the executive arm of government. Why should it be so? And the reason is very simple. They dictate the pace of governance in this country. So if we are not fortunate to have executives that have the love of Nigeria at heart, if we are not fortunate to have executives that seems to have respect for the judiciary itself will still begin to go cap in hand to beg the executive for survival. Now, let me come back to one patriotic thing that the National Assembly had done, and that is Act number 28 of 2023 that gives the judiciary both financial and other independence. That act says that every monument for the judiciary after the budget should be given to the National Judicial Council, and then the National Judicial Council should then disburse this money to the heads of courts. Now, that is the provisions of our Constitution. It was signed into law by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. I then ask a question as of today: why should any executive arm of government decide to build houses and buy cars for judiciary and be advertising it? For me, as I've written, it's unconstitutional to do so, because the Constitution has already vested the power in the judiciary to undertake both their recurrent and capital expenditure. So let nobody think that is doing the judiciary any favor by undertaking or buying cars or building houses for the judiciary. The Constitution says the judiciary should do so. Therefore, what we need to do now, and which is part of what we are doing now, is to first of all be at alert. First, to acknowledge that the judiciary is very weak. Two, that we must let them know that their weakness can be turned into strength when they themselves decide to liberate themselves from the shackle of executive griefs on their heads. And how do they do it? Is by engaging in interpretation of law that gives undiluted justice to Nigerian people. The judiciary cannot pretend that all is well with it. And like I've written before, it is only the judiciary that can liberate itself from the oppression, from the slavery to which other arms of government have put them, by saying no to what they themselves see as wrong. But where the judiciary begins to give a colored justice to favor the power that be, and allow themselves to be infused with timidity, then Aisha, we are in trouble in this country.
Yeah, indeed. There's a whole lot that you've unpacked here. First of all, is to say I totally get you, sir, when you talked about the fact that Nigeria is not a welfare state. So unfortunately, a lot of people, cannot just do the things that they can do. Say, oh, even if I lose this job, at least I'll be well taken care of. It's not there. And I've encountered a lot of judges who themselves, it's almost as if they are oppressed and they are unable to do anything. But from what you've also said is the fact that they have the financial autonomy. So let me understand this. Do they have the financial autonomy, or is it just on paper, but they've not gotten it?
Now, the Constitution, as has been amended, says that when there is a budget that is meant for the judiciary, at the end of the budget, when it is assented to by the president and commander-in-chief or the governor of the respective states, the money meant for the judiciary should be given to the National Judicial Council, which is established by Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution, that takes charge of the judiciary, so that that money, as approved either in the federal budget or in the state budget, be released to the National Judicial Council, who will in turn release the money meant for the respective the judiciary, either at the federal or state level, to the heads of courts. And under the law, these heads of court, the Constitution has also created avenue for the heads of court to set up a committee independent of the judges to handle issues pertaining to the judiciary. So for me, we must first of all begin to demand the implementation of Act number 28 of 2023 that was signed into law that gives financial independence to the judiciary.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. So in other words, the law is there, but it's not being acted on. But there's something that you said for me that looks a bit. Say when it says when there's a budget. So when there's no budget, what does that mean? When there's if it is giving room for they can do it or not do it because of the word when.
No, the Constitution in Section 162 or thereabout laid it as a mandatory duty on the executive to prepare the annual budget and lay it before the National Assembly, what it proposes to do in each year for the respective arms of government. The duty is on the executive, but they work in collaboration and in harmony with the other arms of government, including the legislative arm of government. So once this budget is passed and assented to, the constitutional imperatives and demand is that the money meant for the judiciary, which will be spelled out clearly in the budget in each of the respective states and the federation, be released to the National Judicial Council, and then the National Judicial Council will then disburse this money to the respective heads of courts, including the heads of courts of the Federal High Court, the heads of courts of the FCT High Court, the heads of courts of the Court of Appeal, the heads of court of the National Industrial Court, and all other heads of courts in the respective states. So where the problem is the inability of the judiciary to release this money. And what is the argument? That budget is a proposal. Where did they get the money from to release it to the judiciary? So we must then sit down to work out the workability of how money meant for the judiciary can be given to the judiciary. I ask questions. If money meant for the judiciary is subject to the question of where is the money, where does the executive have money for all manner of unexplained expenditures in terms of the mumbo jumbo monies they give to political aides, political houseboys, and even the thing they call security votes that are not subject to Nigerian viewing and explanation. So if they can generate money, and because the judiciary is an important arm of government, because under Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution, the judiciary is the only arm of government that has been specially trained, and with special trained that has what looks for me like the light that must shine in darkness to deal with issues that arose or that arise that may arise between the executive, the legislature, Nigerian citizens, and other arms of government, including even the National Judicial Council. So judges are specialists that are trained with a defined code of conduct. So for me, therefore, nobody should toy with the survivor of the judiciary. But the what did you call them? The political class have successfully toiled with the survivor of the judiciary and decided to begin to pocket the judiciary in a way and manner that the light of the judiciary that have been donated to it by the Constitution no longer shine. Therefore, that is why you see now that in Nigeria, the judiciary that's supposed to be light, that once it shines, darkness flee away, appears to have been covered by darkness because of the strangulation of the judicial system by the power that be. And like I said, it's only the judiciary that can free itself. And it can do so. It has done so successfully before until much, much later when the process of recruitment to the bench became politically compromised. And so for us to therefore go back to the judiciary restoring its credibility as it used to be, and in Aisha, you may recall that during the military, the judiciary spoke and the military listened to them. Even in the 1970s, they declared the military government illegal. And so they promulgated decree to clip the wings of the judiciary. But because we have judges that were independent, we had judges that had strength of character, we had judges that did not beg to be made judicial officers, we had judges that were nationalistic and patriotic, we had judges that were very, 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 very have respect for the code of conduct for judicial officers. And we have judges that were resisted appearance or giving respect to appearance of improprieties. These judges gave judgments that were almost second to none in the Commonwealth of this country, of nation. And among the jurisprudence, and our judges' judgments were being referred to by other Commonwealth countries. Nigerian judges were sorted after by other African countries as their chief justices. For instance, Chief Justice Akinola Aguda, for instance, was the Chief Justice of Botswana. We gave judges to other African countries to develop their jurisprudence. So that was then when recruitment to the bench was based on the strength of character, what you know, rather than who you know. It was a taboo for you to lobby to be a judicial officer in those days. You go to court, their lordships monitored you, the manner you practice your law. If you are a man or a woman of questionable character, you have no business being on the bench. The bench, like the genesis of the judiciary, was rooted in the purity of holiness of God, because judges are representatives of God on the planet Earth. That is why we address them as my lords. They were the chief priests of the temple of justice. And so their garment was spotless. It was patterned. It was clear. No one can go meeting a judicial officer and say, oh, Aisha is my sister. He has a case in your court. What can you do, Mr. Okutepa, to help Aisha? Mr. Okutepa will lock the man who comes to beg him on behalf of Aisha Yusuf in prison and called orderly to arrest them. But today, do we have judges who can do what Chief Justice J.I.C. Taylor did in the tweet that General Gowon wanted him to come for an occasion, refused to go there. So all I am struggling to submit to us, therefore, is that our judges and the judiciary must go back to the root of purity of justice, purity of adjudication, purity of recruitment, purity of discipline. Look, when a judge forges his age and have no business being on the bench for 12 years, for me, with profound respect, such a judicial officer must not only be recommended that he be dismissed, he should also have his days in criminal court, because if a man or a woman steal a goat or a tin of tomatoes, he goes to jail for stealing. A judicial officer that forges his age and remain on the bench is not fit to be on the bench. That is why it was said that a corrupt judge is worse than an armed robber running amok in any of the markets with AK-47. So for me, the National Judicial Council, under the leadership of His Lordship, and I commend my Lord, Honorable Justice Kekereekun, is a woman of great repute that I know. And I know that he will be in the position to restore the integrity of the judiciary. And what we need to do so, Aisha, is very simple. One, judges who give appearance of impropriety should be shown the way out. Two, lawyers who go to file processes that instigate judicial officers to give wrong decisions should have their way before the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee and be shown the way out. A lawyer who leaves Benue to go to Zamfara to file a process in the name of foreign shopping, or who file very stupid and downright process to mislead a judicial officer, should, in the same way that the judicial officer is facing trouble, should himself or herself also be asked to face the trouble. And I am happy that the Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria is the chairman of the Legal Practitioner Privileges Committee, is a member of the Body of Benchers. The Body of Benchers is the body that is statutorily responsible for discipline of lawyers. It is not enough to say lawyers should not talk. Lawyers are talking because the wrong things are being done and being encouraged. it is time for us to beam our searchlight on the legal profession. And once we get the legal profession right and the boundary is clear, I can tell you the politicians will be whipped to the line. The politicians are having their few days because we have allowed them to do so. Aisha, you can recall that under President Olusegun Obasanjo, impeachment was done in brothel. It took the boldness of the Supreme Court of Nigeria to say that impeachment is justiciable. If you fail to follow the laid down procedure, the impeachment of governor not stop in Nigeria, it stopped. The judiciary have the power to make sure that card reader, or what you call it, beavers machine, works for the democracy of this country to work. That is why I think that the judiciary need to tinker with the principles of law that you say you must front load a written statement of oath of a supreme witness. That is illogical. It is wrong. It is not commonsensical. It does not attain justice. It's rather creating a roadblock to attainment of justice. And that is why our politicians today are preparing now in 2027 to engage themselves in the most unprecedented rigging of our election using AK-47. Because, my dear sister, as of today, sovereignty does not belong to the Nigerian people. But the people that can restore sovereignty to Nigerian people are the judicial arm of government. Because we are the only one that have been trained with a defined qualification, with a defined code of conduct that cannot be removed by any other person, but even the judicial arm, because you cannot remove a judicial officer from his power or from his office unless the National Judicial Council approves of it. That is why governors who attempted to remove chief judges of the respective states have met a brick wall because the National Judicial Council. So all I need to say, therefore, is that the judiciary should first of all know that it's an independent arm of government. Two, that is the only one that can define and determine what constitutes a wrong. Three, is the only one that can pronounce that a wrong is wrong. It's the only judiciary that can say a man is a woman is a man by interpretation. And it must give a purposeful interpretation for sustenance of democracy in this country. If democracy collapses, as it appears it may, if we are not careful, then the judiciary will not have a place even to trade and pile their trade. And therefore, for me, the judiciary is the one that will give itself independence.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you've packed quite a lot there. A good number of the questions that I was going to ask, you've covered them there. But one of the things, unfortunately, we seem not to have with the judges that we have today is judicial activism. They are not putting things in place in that is thinking about the nation rather than about some technicality that they seem to focus on. Like you rightly said, judges are the ones who interpret. At the end of the day, they have the final say on whatever it is that is going on. But this process of recruitment, it's been years that the conversation has been on, and there are certain lawyers that have taken on the issue for years, talking about the fact that our process of recruiting judicial officers has not been the way it's supposed to be. What are the things that can be done to ensure, a process of recruitment that brings in people with merit and also character and integrity to the bench?
Well, some of us have gone to court when we noticed that the right things were not being done. Again, we must come back to the judiciary. Because if, for instance, you believe my name is listed as a candidate, say, of Mr. Yusuf, the husband of Aisha, to go to the bench, and then somebody, Aisha, is on the bench, and Mr. Yusuf wants Mr. Okutepa, the friend of Aisha, to go to the bench. And somebody somewhere knows that Mr. Okutepa is not a man of credit. Is not a man that can stand the temptation on the bench. If he goes there, he's going to do the bidding of Mrs. Aisha Yusuf. And then somebody goes to court. It's the judiciary that will say whether Aisha can say what he's saying about Mr. Okutepa or not. And so for me, we are in a situation where, again, I come back to what I say, that it's only the judiciary that can liberate itself from the kind of thing that we find ourselves. Because there are some persons on the bench that ought not to be on the bench. For instance, may the soul of Yunus Usman SAN rest in peace. When an appointment were to be done in one of these states in North Central states, he led me and 17 other senior advocates to complain that there are no facilities, and the people that are being penciled down for recruitment, including a wife of a governor of a state, had not had the experience to be on the bench. My dear sister, we produce everything, including visual evidence, electronic evidence, pictorial evidence, video evidence of the dilapidated nature of the courts in that state, who were described in the judgment of a judicial officer as busybody. 17 senior advocates of Nigeria who are taking oath of office to defend, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and who goes to court in each of the states of Nigeria to earn their daily living, were described in the judgment as meddlesome interloper, meaning busybody, people who have nothing to do, what concern you. People are hungry, you say they should give them food. Now you they hungry. That's what that thing is supposed to literally interpreted means. So it is unbelievable that senior advocates who swore to assist the cause of justice and who sworn to defend Nigeria Constitution takes the case of desecration of Nigeria Constitution to court, including the Nigerian Constitution that talks about the spreading of appointment based on federal character, and you describe such persons as meddlesome interloper. So it discourages other persons from coming to challenge. So the issue, therefore, again, boils down to the judiciary. If Nigerians who are led to believe that some characters being recommended by the political class are not reasonably fit to be on the bench should please, in the name of God and in the name of the integrity of the bench, open the space for Nigeria to ventilate those angers and those their grievances before them. After all, it was the Court of Appeal that says that when it comes to a matter of constitutional matter, the question of local standard is liberalized. In the case of Chief Ganifa Emi, and my Lord Justice Aboki says so, because if you look at the preamble to the Nigerian Constitution, it says we, the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, have given to ourselves this Constitution. In other words, even though that Constitution is a military document, it pretended to say that it's a document that was made by all Nigerians. Therefore, all Nigerians, including you and I, are party to the contract called the Nigerian Constitution. And Section 1 says the Constitution is supreme and that everything must be done in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, including Chapter 2 that talks about economic viability, economic rights, and health rights, and all of that. Back to your question, until we have judicial officers that wear the shoes that pain Nigerians and know that Nigerians are in hell in their own country, and begin to give judgments that liberate Nigeria from the shackle of the poverty that the people in power have put us, then we cannot talk about the Nigerian system working well. Again, that is back to the judiciary. And the only person who have the power to give direction to do so is the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the various heads of courts. And for me, it can start doing so by one, putting judges who are lazy on their toe to do what they need to do. Two, those who deliver judgment that turns the law on its head should be shown the way out. Not to say you are reprimanded, given suspension for 1 year without pay. After that, you come back and then you are put again to wait on waiting list of promotion. No, by the principles that we grew up to meet, which is a principle of considerable antiquity. When a judicial officer engages in what is not in tune with propriety, even if it has the element of legality, such a person is not fit to be on the bench.
Such a person indeed is not fit to be on the bench. Well, there's so many going on. Like you said, everything has to do with the judiciary. You know, waking up and doing the needful. But in the meantime, as citizens, what we continue to do is to put pressure on them. Remember, all eyes on judiciary should indeed be all eyes on judiciary. Hitherto before now, I think a lot of us had not even really focused on all the things that are going on within the judiciary. But now more and more of us are focusing on that, and we need to all do that. There's a question here from Gani Akinde on YouTube, and he says, my one question to the learned son, what was his reaction of feelings about Nigeria after the 2023 election tribunal pronouncement? That's from Gani Akinde.
My reaction is on my X. I have written consistently that most of the judgment that was delivered in 2023 has legitimized an otherwise illegitimate process that produced the so-called winners of the elections. We all know the truth. And if we continue the way we are going, then shortly people will not even want to go and vote anymore. So my view is that judgment was delivered without justice in it. Nigerian people know that most of the elections that were held were products of statutory illegality. The INEC abdicated its responsibilities. INEC gave Nigerian hope that it was going to be transparent. The result of elections was going to be transmitted via what he called IRF, and that what is filled in the and scanned and posted on IRF will be the same as what you can find in Form E8As as filled and signed. But I can tell you that while we have INEC as an independent institution, those who man INEC that are supposed to work for INEC to be independent are compromised staff office. Most of them are compromised. So INEC is independent in name, but in practice, INEC is not independent. And I said it on many occasions, including lectures I delivered, that Nigerian politicians have bastardized democracy. Democracy in Nigeria is not government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's government of the selected, for the selected, and by the selected. That is why you have some emperors who talk about go and deliver your polling unit, because they have no respect for Nigerian people. Sovereignty does not belong to Nigerian people in Nigerian democracy. Sovereignty belongs to political godfathers and godmothers, and they can say that Mr. Okutepa, who is the popular candidate that won the election, did not win the election. They rewrite the result, and nothing can make you to win. That is why they developed the concept of going to court. Because like I've said in so many of my write-up, it is much more easier for elephants to go through the eye of a needle than a supposed loser of election in Nigeria to get justice in judgment in Nigerian electoral jurisprudence, particularly by the kind of principles of law that defile jurisprudential logic that have been propounded by our judges. For instance, when you see a document that has been mutilated, had been changed from what it's supposed to be, on the face of it, you are seeing that there is mutilation. You go to court, the court is asking you to produce who mutilate the documents. And when you tender the document, the court is asking you to speak to the document. And then I ask the question, what is this concept of demonstration of a document that our judiciary invented in electoral jurisprudence? With profound respect, I see such concept as concept rooted in laziness, because a judge who is ready to do his work unaided, without being interfered with, without having another thought other than the thought of justice, should not be asking you to come and demonstrate a document he can read and write. After all, our laws prohibits you saying anything on a document, because the document we were told in the Evidence Act speaks for itself. Why then do you ask me to come and speak and demonstrate a document? In what way do I demonstrate it? In Hausa, in Fulani, in Fufude, in Igala, in Etulo, in Igede, in Idoma? Because the lingua franca of Nigerian court is English language. These documents are written in English language. Why should the judge ask me to demonstrate it? Two, I have said that under our law and under various decisions of the Supreme Court, including Amechi and INEC, the Supreme Court says in election matter, we should do substantial justice rather than technicality. But today, technicality has been exhumed from the grave, resurrected, giving judicial blessings, and is overshadowing the law of substantial justice. So much so now that if you have evidence that shows that election, there is an overvoting in each of the polling units, like it happened in Kogi State, we demonstrated in open court by court order, producing Beavers machine, that each of the Beavers machines show overvoting. The judiciary rejected the evidence of overvoting on the ground that the INEC officer who came at the instance and on the order of court did not have a front-loaded witness statement on oath, and therefore they were not looking at it. This is contrary to the law that we grow up to meet, and which has been dished out by the Supreme Court and all the courts in other regular matters, that a stolen evidence, so long as that evidence support facts pleaded, is admissible to plead fact, to prove fact pleaded. So why are we now saying that you are closing your eye to the road evidence travel to court, even though it is relevant, but that it did not come through airport? It should have come through the road from Kaduna to Zaria. That does not make profound respect, does not make a sense of justice to me, because once the court see injustice by the trailer load of evidence, the court should rely upon it. It should not say that, oh, this evidence came in a trailer. It should have come in aircraft.
Oh my goodness. You know, when one hears all of these things, you just feel like, is there hope for Nigeria? Because especially the judiciary, they are really the ones that have held us down in this country. A lot of people who ought not to have gotten into office in the first place did get there because of the judiciary and all of these technicalities that they keep talking about. just looking at the YouTube comments that are coming up, a lot of people just feel like giving up. Let me just ask a question that, do you think there's hope for Nigeria?
Absolutely, there's hope. If there is no hope, you and I will not be sitting to talk. And I'm happy because, look, a good leader must listen to the citizen, either on this YouTube, on the internet, in the newspaper column, or public address system, in the church, or so on and so forth. But the citizen must hold everybody accountable. But I want to plead with each and every one of us. In holding judiciary accountable, we must avoid abusing them. We need to put ourselves in their shoes and see how some of the judicial officers are in excruciating, unhygienic environment. They want to do what is right. Some want to do what is right. The godfathers and godmothers that are infinitesimal number, but who possess the power of coercion, may not want them to do it and say, let me do it and go and rest. So it is time for Nigerian citizens to come out of their docility. Nigerians are too docile. Nigerians are too, they are too comic. You see,
they get distracted easily.
Yes, you see Nigerian people suffering. Easily they are making jokes out of very serious matter. And the politicians are enjoying themselves. They know that we are just, let me describe Nigeria as people very kind, who can easily forgive. That is why I said on the program I was, that notwithstanding whatever perception anyone may have of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria now, the burden is on him to rewrite his name in gold by beginning to do things that bring Nigeria on a world map of integrity or credibility. And let nobody tell me that he cannot do so. Look, there is what we call in ecclesiastical cycle being born again. For those of us who go to church, 2 persons were crucified on the cross with Jesus Christ. One was said to be an armed robber. On the cross, he said, please, Lord, forgive me. Jesus forgave him. He went to paradise. So my submission to us, therefore, is for us to appeal to our leaders who force themselves on us or who were elected by us to lead us, to say, please, Nigeria is a blessed nation. Nigerians are civilized people. Nigerians are good followers of good and evil. If you have a president that does not want corruption in this country, Aisha, I can tell you, corruption will flee from the scene in this country. Nigerians look at the body language of our leaders and begin to engage in corruption. And let me also tell you that when Nigeria want to do what is right, Nigeria can go to any length to do it. So my appeal to us, when I go through this program, I see a lot of people who come there to insult. Unfortunately, these are people who are well educated. They see tribalism as a vehicle to earn a living. Unfortunately, in America that we're talking about, it does not mean that there is no corruption. There is, but people have decided to see that institution works. Donald Trump that won this election, if he were to be in Nigeria, he will not win. Again, in 2020, if Donald Trump was in Nigeria, he would have won. That's the contradiction. So when our institution have no loyalty to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but have loyalty to the leadership in power, Nigeria cannot make headway. That is why I believe that if all Nigerians, you and I agree that things must work and it has to work and we must do what is right in your little corner as a legal practitioner, if you decide not to take a brief that you cannot justify the income being paid to you, for instance, a brief given to you and money is being stolen from the state government to pay you, you should reject it. So you can do it. And Aisha, let me tell you, Nigeria is not the only country that had come to this kind of hopeless situation and then the country come back. Singapore was in the same place. It took a leader called Lee Kuan Yew to put the place right. Is it not so? Dubai was the same thing. And I was told there was a time one of our leaders was giving speech on behalf of body of senior advocate in the Supreme Court, Chief T.J. Okoko. He quoted that corruption was also prevalent in the justice system in England until the leadership of that country decided to sentence the Chief Justice of that country to asylum. So all I am struggling to say, therefore, is that let us make examples of bad people, but let us not make the example of people because they criticize you, because people are being oppressed not to say what they needed to say. It is not the way to make example. You make example of a thief, not a person who tells you that what you are doing is wrong. So, for instance, I have told you the amendment to the Constitution that was signed by the president. Nigeria must talk. No governor should buy a car and ask judges to come and line up to collect. No executive should go and begin to build houses and invite Chief Justice of Nigeria or heads of court to come and sit down there to listen to the homily of what they are going to do. The law says those properties should be built by the judiciary. Let nobody also deceive us to say that there is no watertight separation of power. Yes, we know there is none. But where the law has set down a procedure to be followed, that procedure and only that procedure must be followed. You cannot, with all the best of intention, usurp the constitutional functions of the judiciary in the name that you love them. You cannot love judiciary more than the judiciary love themselves. So if you love them, lobby for an enhanced budget, lobby for an enhanced welfare package, put in their salary and allowances and in their budgets. The judiciary then shares for themselves. And when there is a judicial corruption, then the machinery must be set in motion for the judiciary to discipline themselves. And then the state take over to discipline judges who are corrupt. Until we do so, we are just scratching the surface of our problems.
The surface of our problem. There are a whole lot of our problem that we have. But I totally agree with you. A lot of countries were once where we are right now, even in the United States, we talk about corruption and all of that. It was rife. It was at a time when people who weren't corrupt were the ones who were made to feel ashamed. But it took the people and also those who got into government to fight and ensure they have a state that is quite good. There's something you mentioned about Tinubu and Nigeria being very forgiving. And I think, yeah, I do agree with you. And some of the things that I've said a lot of times is that if, for example, Tinubu coming in, yes, he wasn't voted in, he rigged his way into office. The court, went ahead to legitimize that illegitimacy that happened. And if he had come in and started giving that good governance, making people, giving dividends of democracy, letting people see what good governance is, accountability, transparency, I mean, citizens would be in the place to say, okay, yeah, we know he didn't win, he bet, he's doing this, bet, he's doing that. And like you said, everybody has an opportunity to write their name in gold when they get into leadership position. That's why for me, one of the things I find extremely surprising is that how do you get to certain offices and you don't do so well to be in a position where 200 years from now, your name will be mentioned, like the Lee Kuan Yew, the Nelson Mandela that you talked about. When you talk about the Churchills of this world, when their countries are mentioned, their names are also mentioned. But unfortunately, it seems as if we don't have people to do that. I know you've been on a journey, and I wouldn't want to push it too much. I know you'll be tired. So we'll work on rounding up. But there are some questions here. There's one I don't even understand. So I'm just going to give it to you. Hopefully, you make it. Someone is asking that, can you please talk about the judgment in Plateau State and this Plateau State governorship verdict versus the verdict of other elected offices, also on the Kano State emirship verdict. Oh, I think I remember what that. So it's someone is interested. I don't know how it helps them with the judiciary, but hey, let me not be the one to keep a question just because I don't understand it.
Well, I don't know what the person wants me to say about Plateau and Kano. Let me say of Plateau, I'm sure I hazard a guess why people who are in the House of Assembly lost their seats because of the judgment of the Court of Appeal. The governor got away with it at the Supreme Court. First, I am an advocate of respect for court and court orders. And so when it comes to the National Assembly, the House of Assembly, the Court of Appeal is the Supreme Court of the land. And other cases travel to the Supreme Court. And let me be honest with you that it is not all judgments of the Supreme Court that are infallible. The Supreme Court makes mistakes, and they themselves acknowledge it that they make mistakes. So what we need to do, therefore, is to develop the shock absorber to accept the mistakes and criticize it and see that in the near future, they will look at it and change their minds. And Supreme Court has on some occasions changed their minds on decisions that they know was given that is perpetuating injustice. And so for the case of Plateau, it's unfortunate that it had happened. The legislator must take it with the ecumenism that they need to take it and accept it as what the Court of Appeal as final court has decided, and being the last court of the land, there's nothing anybody can do about it. The one of Kano chieftaincy matter is still in court. So it is sub judice. I do not want to talk about it. But all I say is that the judiciary must be sensitive to the yearning and aspiration and the cries of Nigeria, because there is no foreign judge in Nigeria. All Nigerian judicial officers are Nigerians of both parents who go to Nigerian markets, who go to who come from Nigerian villages, and who must listen and take judicial notice of the excruciating pains and poverty and injustice in the land. Therefore, if the Supreme Court in Abraham Adesoya versus the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria could take judicial notice of rumors as being pastime at construction sites and marketplaces, I appeal to the Supreme Court and our judicial officers to take judicial notice of political rascalities in Nigeria, including those who decamp from their political parties to join another political party in the national and state houses of assembly when there are no divisions in their political parties. Because the Constitution says when you take that gambling and risk, you lose your seat automatically. Let no judiciary, let no judge aid and abet constitutional desecration in the name of judgment and giving favorable judgments to those people who are notorious in the violation of Nigeria Constitution, that even the blind can see and the deaf can hear. So I appeal to us, therefore, that for Nigeria to grow and develop and become a civilized nation, we must, one, embrace the rule of law. Two, ensure that things are done orderly. Three, those who are in power must be held accountable. Four, there must be consequences for misbehavior, because the greatest and indeed the bane of Nigerian society as of today, Aisha, my dear sister, is impunity.
Yeah.
Impunity gave birth to corruption, gave birth to impunity. Both impunity and corruption in Nigeria are silent twins. And it's because of this impunity. In fact, on my way to where I am now, in a very narrow corner, convoy were coming, facing us direct and chasing us to the bush, as if the blood in our vein is not a correct blood. So unfortunately, impunity is everywhere. Go to the market, you see impunity. Go to the Okada rider, you see impunity. Go to the garage, you see impunity. There are no consequences. Security agencies, you see them on the road, some of them, they take bribe, no consequences for it. That is why Nigeria is where we are. We are in a very sweet and reasonable ocean, but we are thirsty of both water and food. So Nigeria is a country that is blessed, both in human and natural resources. But it appears to me that our leaders, the moment they go to power, become possessed of a spirit other than the spirit of purity of good governance. And so, even when you talk to them, they believe they are more nationalistic and patriotic than us. That's why in my tweet today, I say something, maybe I read that in closing, that nobody is and I said, let those in government not think that they have the monopoly of knowledge. No, they don't. Whether Nigerians, whatever Nigerians say or write, should not be ignored by those who have the power to decide. Those in power in the three arms of government are there for Nigerians, at least so they claim. So when I see people in government dismissing views and constructing criticism of those of us as anti-government, I feel terribly pained that some people in position of responsibility don't appreciate the needed raw materials of good governance. The needed raw materials of good governance are the views of people that are constructive. Like we talk about absence of justice in this country. I do not agree with the former Chief Justice of Nigeria that judiciary should not take judicial notice of public opinion in decision. They must take, because the beneficiaries of judgments of our courts are ultimately the general public. So the judiciary, in essence, therefore, to restore their credibility and back to the golden good olden eras, must bring back discipline, must recruit lawyers of Spartan credibility, must avoid dancing to the music tune of political class. After all, judiciary is trained in the school of impartiality, while politicians are trained in the school of partiality. And so immorality are weapon to ascend political power, while immorality are far and poles apart from judicial institutions. So we must not therefore engage in approving conduct that gives appearance of impropriety in the decision making.
Thank you so much, sir. I did see your tweet. I was even going to use it towards the end. It's really packed. And where you talked about the fact that it's the fact that you don't have to be in government to know what is needed for good governance. So that's really, key out there. Like I said earlier, you're just coming from a journey, and I need to quickly just round this up so that you go and get the rest that you have. There are some people who have joined us here on Zoom. I'll try to give them maybe a minute each for them to ask their question. In the meantime, to say, Madam Hope, yeah, I did see your message. When you keep sending the same message over and over again, it's spamming, and it makes it difficult for me to see some of the questions that people are putting out there. So please, next time, please, or anyone, just put the message once, and that will be okay. Someone was asking about the birth certificate age of the current person that has been sworn in as governor in Edo State. I think that doesn't matter. He's already sworn in. He has immunity. That shouldn't be. I think there are 3 different discrepancies when it comes to age. So I don't know. Our learned son, is that something that you feel it's an issue that should be spoken about, where you have people running for office with different, age discrepancies? Does that have any legal implication?
I do not want to tie it to any particular person. But again, that is an aspect that our judges must do something. Because, and then the National Assembly too must do something. Because when we begin to compartmentalize wrongs into pre- and post-election matter, we are going to run into troubled water. There are decisions of our court that certificate forgery, presentation of forged certificate to INEC are pre-election matter. And with the amendment done to the 1999 Constitution in Section 285, those who can challenge primary elections of political parties are limited now to aspirants who participated in the primary. And so you now see that Nigerian politicians have decided and invented a process that even those who participated in primary tied their litigation in court to commercial interests. What do I mean? You file litigation against Mr. Okutepa. Mr. Okutepa comes to beg you to withdraw the litigation, knowing fully well that he has forged his certificate or forged affidavit, and that you must file this action within 14 days, and only you can file. And so he settles with me, I withdraw my case, the merit of the matter is not decided. Then he contested the election with Aisha, and Aisha has all the facts. Aisha presents it. Mr. Okutepa will say, no, Aisha, these issues you have raised is pre-election matter. It ought to have been filed within 14 days. It was not filed. Therefore, you have no locus to even in the first place challenge me. So we must tinker with this aspect of our case, because it is the Supreme Court that decided that certificate forgers should not have a place to lead us in Nigerian politics. But now that we have compartmentalized forgeries into 2 departments, and majority of the views now seems to suggest that it's a pre-election matter, and the politicians have a narrow road to deal with pre-election matters in terms of those who have the right to go to court and challenge pre-election matters. And when to challenge pre-election matter, you may see a person who obviously has a forged certificate winning an election, and it cannot be challenged in election petition. That to me is a great disservice to the purity of the office the person is to occupy. So no judge, no judiciary, no court should close its eye to a man or a woman of less integrity in terms of forgery of certificate to occupy any office in Nigeria. Because if a man or a woman can go to the length of having different forgery, different certificate, different age, something, in order to acquire or attain political offices at all costs, such a person is unworthy of leadership in any department, including leadership as a councillor.
Including leadership as a councillor, very unworthy of being a leader. Unfortunately, we've been reduced to, when they say the worst amongst us being the ones that would lead us, sadly. I'll bring on Madam Hope now to ask our question. Please, can they do it in 1 minute? I'm going to set a timer as soon as 1 minute is off, whether your question or a contribution. But before I go there, Yemi Adekanola puts your quote and said, constructive criticism are raw materials for good governance, was etched of marble, said by San Jibrin Okutepa. I mean, those are really words that mean a lot. And every person who gets into this position and they believe that they, how do I put it now? And they want to do the needful, must listen to criticism. I would say whether constructive or not, just listen to what people are saying and work with it. When you solve the problem, the person who is in that leadership position ends up being the one that will take the glory. So, Madam Hope, good evening, sister. Welcome.
Well, I'm Mama H.O. I am not Hope. Aisha.
Oh, sorry, Madam H.O.
Sam Jibrin, I would have loved you to see my face while I ask my question, but unfortunately, the host is not allowing my video to open.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I'm sure I tampered with certain things. I haven't tried to make you put on your video, but apparently I might have done something.
It's okay. Sam Jibrin, when you were talking, you referred to America. But the question for me is this. What yet will you tell me that the judiciary are the one that need to speak and give America their mandate? Can you refer to a particular year? That's to tell you that the judiciary does not have a role when it comes to election. The people are supposed to pick their leader and it ends there. But the judiciary has made themselves to become Oga of all, to be able to get election rigged so that it can come to them for them to perpetuate what they are doing. You also refer to the Bible. And I also want to put it to you, Sir Jibrin. The Bible said, do not provoke your children to anger. You, the elders and the judiciary of Nigeria, plus the leader, you have provoked her to anger. So whatever we say to you people, you guys have to take it and do the needful. We are ashamed of all of you. Me, I am Mama H.O., the mother of the youth. Did you understand? I am ashamed of all of you, of what you people have turned our children to. You make them who they are today, whereas that is not what God called them to be. You are talking about the judiciary, the so-called president that is there, your president, not my president. The so-called president that is there, he stole mandate. He knew he stole mandate. He knew he rigged his office. When he came into office, if he wanted peace and unity to do, he would have done.
Unfortunately, I had to mute you, Madam H.O., because it's actually 2 minutes. It's supposed to have like a minute. I mean, that's the second alarm going on. So sorry, I had to do that based on the time that we have. But he will come in and answer that question. Also to look at the fact that there's a difference between the bar and the bench. So yes, Mr. Okutepa is part of the. Is it law? No, not part of the, what do I call it? He's not part of the bench. He's part of the bar. So he's not part of the judiciary who actually make judgment. He's one of those who goes there. But he will answer that question himself. Then we have Hugo please kindly go on and unmute yourself. Apologies, please. I think I did lock up a lot of things today. I'm just trying to be careful, especially with the experience I had the last time where hackers came in. So I stopped a lot of things before we start, but I don't know, I had stopped the one of video. Next time, inshallah, we'll work on that. So go ahead, please. Now I can't even say you have a minute because Madam H.O. took 2 minutes. So you have to for it to be fair.
I'll try my best, Madam Aisha. Thanks for the opportunity. It's just a comment really around the state of things. I think we all know things are really bad in Nigeria. The judiciary has been captured. We've seen the new CGN and our antecedent in Imo State and, frolicking with Wike and the government and just everything. And we know the legislation is gone. We know the executive is gone. So which way forward? I think we should be looking forward to 2027. And, we all know what the issues are. How can we strategize? How can we stop these people? If we think of going to judiciary, to be honest, I don't have much hope. Through the ballot box, INEC has ruined that chance. So I think we should all put our heads together and say, okay, this is what the enemy is. How do we stop them? Thank you. That'll be my question.
Oh, thank you so much. You didn't even use up to the 1 minute. Thank you so much for being concise, about that. My brother, we are back to you. So you heard Mrs. H.O. Let me also take some of the questions that are here from YouTube so that you just put everything together, because honestly, I know it's been tough today on you. You've been on a journey, and to be fair, for you to go and read. Someone talked about, I think, referring to what Madam H.O. had spoken about Al Gore and the election. Madam H.O., Al Gore and Bush in 2000. I don't know whether, and the Florida recount when it went to Supreme Court. I think he was trying to also talk about what she had said. Then the other thing I'm trying to see, there's a particular question I saw. I can't see what it is. Okay, can I ask why a judgment by the judiciary cannot be brought under question by an independent body? These are the questions that are out there.
Thank you. Let me start by thanking Madam H.O. She's angry and justifiably too. Unfortunately, I think she's engaging in anger that is directed perhaps not at the right quarters. First, I am not part and parcel of the judiciary. I'm a member of the bar. I practice as a lawyer. I go to court. Secondly, it would be unfair to say that in America, judges don't decide election matters. Somebody rightly said the example of Al Gore, even Florida, and so on and so forth. So, in Nigeria, the law allows judges to decide disputes arising from either election matters or other matters. The only issues here is not whether or not it is right for judiciary to decide, but whether or not such decisions are rooted in soundness of justice that meets the justice of the cases and that are not rooted in technicalities. And I have said consistently that we must go back to substantial justice and examine the merit of cases and let judgment that comes out be in line with the factual situations on the ground and not arid colored justice that will tell people and insult their sensibility. Now, when you look at the judiciary in Nigeria, they are doing what they are doing because they find themselves here. In America, there are consequences. The lawyers of President Trump that bought hook, line, and sinker his theory of electoral malpractices in 2020 had their days with the relevant American Bar Association and have been debarred. And so the problem is not necessarily the judiciary alone. Those who are supposed to apply consequences for misbehavior have gone to sleep. either because they are beneficiaries of the rot or someone close to them is benefiting from the wrong. And you can know that nobody criticizes a system that is benefiting from. You will discover some people who have been vocal before, they are now observing table manner in government. So my take is that we all must agree that all is not well with us. 2, find solution to the problems we have. And the way we can find solution to this problem is for each and every one of us, including Madam Aisha, to love this country. 3, it is completely not legal for him or for her to say now that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is not his president, because the act of the president binds you. There is nothing you can do about it. It returns us to old national anthem. Whether you agree to sing it or not, at international level, it will be sung. And so what then do we do to respect the institution of the president? We must distinguish the Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the institution of President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we must distinguish the judges who are sitting as judicial officers from the institution of judgeship or judiciary. I have respect for Nigerian judiciary, but there are some judicial officers that have corrupted the system that may not get my respect. So America have institutions manned by Americans who have love for the American society. Nigeria have institutions manned by Nigerians who, in most cases, take their private interests as the interest of government. So until we begin to make that distinction and hold those who go to government, Nigeria is the only country where people seek employment to go to government to make money. So how many of the big men in political offices today can legitimately give account of their source of wealth? That is why I call on the Economic and Financial Crime Commission to resort to Section 7 of EFCC Act and begin to go from house to house to ask people, what are your sources of income? The cars you park, this building, this money you are dishing out, what did you do to end them? The law allows us to do so. But will we allow the EFCC to do the job without beginning to interpret that it is manned by a Yoruba man and he's sending it to Hausa man or Igbo man? So the problem are also Nigerians. And in conclusion, I say that it is Nigerians that have strangulated Nigeria.
It is Nigerians that have strangulated Nigeria. I totally agree with you on that. And like I've been saying that the last few days, it's not the institutions that are the problem, it's the people who are there in the institution. Myself and Mother Hope, we are on one thing. Yes, the office of the president will always be the office of the president. But I personally also do not see Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the former governor of Lagos State, as my president. I don't. I mean, Nigeria, I'm all of that. I don't believe, because I don't believe in legitimizing illegitimacy. And that's why I tell a lot of people who talk about, oh, Aisha, why are you not coming to protest against this government? I'm like, I can't protest against a government that I do not believe in. And you did tell us one thing, which is very critical. We should not go into government to make money. And if anybody that wants to make money, they should go and do business. And for me, 100%, I support this thing about, EFCC going out there to go and ask people for their source of income. If you have cars, you have houses, if you've worked your way in a legitimate manner, there's no how you are not able to say, this is where I got this money that I used to do this and do this. I mean, investments are like your babies. You know how you were able to save this one, what you had to do to be able to get something. So people should be able to explain their sources of income. But unfortunately, like you said, in Nigeria, we always bring the religious and tribal sentiments where people will say, oh, it's because this one is certain tribe or certain religion that they are going after. And even Nigerians themselves will be the ones that will come out and say to you that, see this person was minister for so years, they didn't do anything, they even laugh at you when you go into government and do the right thing without looting or embezzling money. But the statement Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria sort of like stays there. Thank you so much, Mr. Jibrin Samuel Okutepa. Let me ask you, do they still put barrister before your name, or is it that one for junior? Because it's been in my head. I don't know what's the proper title. I should have found out.
No, it is unprofessional for any lawyer to call himself barrister. It's the job we do. It's like waking up to say you say Okada rider. So I'm Mr. You can call me Mr. or you can call me Chief. It's not proper to say barrister, but we are put on with wrong things over the years. And so people take, in fact, Aisha, my sister, in Nigeria of today, it is abnormal to be normal.
So true.
So when you are seeing some of us have lost briefs because of insistence of doing the normal thing. They say, are you crazy? People expect you to make money overnight. And so I think you should also begin to think about what is our level of morality. In those days, you can't come home with a pencil without your parents questioning it or people in the community. But today, community takes ownership of thieves that can dish out money to them and spray on the road. That is why if you are driving in Abuja today and you stop and start spreading either naira or dollars, people will pick it. Nobody asks questions. And I do not think that is poverty. It is the poverty of the mind. When I tell my colleagues who come to work with me that as a lawyer, I trekked for 10 years before I was able to buy a spoke of a bicycle, they said they will tell me that was then. I got trained under the finest of legal practitioners and judicial officers. Late Justice Alaska Nidoko of blessed memory was the chief judge of Benue. And all lawyers that trained here drew inspiration from this pattern of life in Egypt, including our judicial officers from Benue. So my suggestion, therefore, is that instead of dwelling only on the judiciary, can a judicial officer file a case before himself or herself? No. Who file frivolous processes that are rubber-stamped by judicial officers? Lawyers. So we should also focus on us. And I have said it, and I want to say it here, that if there is any lawyer or any judge that can say sincerely from his heart that since I became a lawyer for the past 34 years or 33 years or so, I've ever come to him for favor, it should disgrace me. How many lawyers are prepared to do so? A lot of men, some of us are Nicodemus. We visit Jesus in the night because of the shame of fraud we do in the afternoon. Why? So the issue is not only limited to lawyers, it's also an issue with the conduct of Nigerians. Where is the MAMSA headed by Professor Jerry Ghana that gives us code of conduct? Why are small children in primary
I don't know whether that is my network now, or have I been thrown up? Hello, sir, are you back? I probably think maybe that's from my
Secondary
side.
school today be aided a piece of results that they did not sit for.
I think there's a bit of issue with me. Okay, sir. I think there was a bit of network issue. You are muted.
All right. So I think we should come to an end. The problem are with us. Judges are Nigerians. And in the word of my Lord Justice Nikki Toby, they work on Nigerian soil, drink Nigerian water, breathe Nigerian air, and buy in Nigerian market. And so the corruption and corrosion that exists in the pollution of air appears to have also infested them in almost in geometrical proportion.
Those are really heavy words. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And I think you've given us another topic that we need to discuss on, which is we have to, another guest we have, will help us discuss what is our level of morality. These are things that we need to question. And for me, just you saying you've put out the challenge out there. If there's any judge that think you've ever gone to them, let them come out and disgrace you. I mean, that is one of the things that one must have. You must have the moral justification to be able to call out corruption. There are a lot of people who have voices, but they can't speak because of one thing or the other that they've done in the past, and they know that someone somewhere can use that over them or bring it out. So it's always a pleasure, having people who can.
Whoever goes to the court of equity must do so with clean hands.
Oh, with clean hands. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure having you, and I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. The fact that as soon as I asked, you said yes, you're going to come, and even with the travels, you still came and stayed on and spoke for us for this long. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. We really
Thank
appreciate
you very much. God bless you. God bless Nigerian. God reward our effort. We will have a Nigeria of our dream. Amen. Where no one or no man or woman is oppressed, and things will be done rightly and righteously too, and everyone will be happy for it.
Amen. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure really having you. And to everyone on YouTube, thank you so much for always being here. And remember that Live with Aisha comes up every Saturday at 5 p.m. But next Saturday, I will be on transit. Unfortunately, we won't be able to have Live with Aisha, but we'll put something in within this time for us to see, probably one of the summary of the of a program that we've done before. So thank you, everyone, and bye-bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, sir.
Thank you.